All right, everybody, I am back. Good to be back. Good to be back. And we are now here at the end of September. And it's interesting because about a month ago, with the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, I love to talk college football, but, I love to talk college hoops as well. And as part of this show, I said about a month ago, when Amani Bates committed to Memphis, I basically said, look, I love college hoops. I could talk this stuff 365 days a year, but I don't know that you guys care enough for me to talk about it really in the offseason. And I said, look, when we get close to the season, late October, early November, we're going to jump 2 feet into college basketball. And there isn't a day that goes by in my life that I don't think about college basketball, that I don't talk about college basketball, that I don't talk to somebody who is involved in college basketball. But as it pertained to this show, I just did not know how much I would actually be talking about it. But I also made a solemn swear that when there was worthy news in college basketball, I would discuss it on the Aaron Torres Podcast. And that is exactly what I'm going to do today, as this week, for the third time in 3 weeks, we got a top 5 high school recruit committing to play college basketball next year. These are players in the class of 2022, currently seniors. And 2 weeks ago, Shaedon Sharpe, the number 1 high school player in America, a guard originally from Canada, who played the last couple years in Arizona. He committed to Kentucky. Last week, Chris Livingston, talked about him, number 5 player in America in most recruiting services. He is originally from Akron, Ohio, now playing at Oak Hill Academy. He committed to play at University of Kentucky. And this week, Dereck Lively, Monday night, number 2 player in America, high school player, 7'2", center, committed to, drumroll please, well, this week it wasn't as good to be a Kentucky fan as Dereck Lively committed to Duke, choosing Duke essentially over the University of Kentucky. There were some other schools in the mix. Penn State, where Dereck Lively's mother works, was a factor. There were some others, but this was essentially a Duke-Kentucky battle. And this one, the win goes to Jon Scheyer, the new head coach at Duke, who will take over for Coach K after this season and who will coach Dereck Lively in the coming years. In 2022, 2023 is really what I should say. In terms of Dereck Lively, let me just say this. The kid is really special. And it's funny, right? Because, one thing on this show, you guys know, I try not to just crush high school and college kids, but I'll also tell you if I don't think somebody's not good. I'll tell you if I think, that kid's a little overrated, or I'll tell you, I don't really know what kind of difference that kid's ultimately going to make at the college level. I don't think he's that good. But there's also times where I'm like, this kid's really good. I said it about Cade Cunningham. I said it about Paolo Banchero, who's at Duke now. And I'll say it about Dereck Lively. I think Dereck Lively is going to be a mega difference maker at the college level. And we all know that just because a kid is ranked really highly in the high school rankings, it doesn't always translate into college. But I think Dereck Lively is the exception to the rule because he is so big, so unique, and his skill set is so, conducive to dominating college basketball. The kid is 7'1", 7'2". I think he's about 7'2", honestly. He has an absurd 7'9" wingspan. And so you already know he's going to be an elite rim runner. If you're a guard, all you got to do is basically throw it up somewhere near the rim and he's going to dunk it. And he's also probably going to be, frankly, one of the best rim protectors in college basketball next year. Not to say that he doesn't have to gain weight, not to say that he doesn't have stuff to work on, but he is an elite rim runner. He is an elite rim protector. And I don't think he gets enough credit for the rest of the skill set, the stuff that he does, as the kids say, the stuff in his bag, okay? He is an incredible passer for a guy his size, out of the high post, out of the mid post, can obviously see over defenses, makes a lot of really smart plays. He is a great shooter. He told my buddy Jack Pilgrim from Kentucky Sports Radio, Jalen Duran, the number 2 player in last year's class who was in 2022, who reclassified, basically said, he's unlike any player, Dereck Lively, that I've ever played with. And I truly believe that. And I truly believe that he will be a difference maker next year in college basketball. And if you're not a Duke fan, you're going to hate hearing this. I think he is the type of kid that is an all-ACC first-team, all-American type first-team player. Now, offensively, I'm not sold that he's going to be good enough to be like a national player of the year type guy. I don't think he's quite Cade Cunningham. I don't think he's quite Zion Williamson in terms of an ability to put an entire program on his back. But this kid is really, really, really good and a really, really, really important recruit for Duke. And so with that, let's kind of talk about the Duke aspect of this because, listen, I got to give credit where it's due. I thought Duke recruiting in basketball would take a major step back when Coach K announced his retirement and Jon Scheyer was picked as his successor. in the Duke basketball program. And I know what some people say, well, Coach K is still there. Well, Coach K is still recruiting. Well, Coach K is still doing all the work. And, like, yes, Coach K is still technically the head coach of Duke basketball. And, yes, Coach K, I'm sure, has some role in recruiting these kids. I don't think that Coach K runs and hides from the room when these kids are on official visits, in the same way that I'm sure Roy Williams, he still pops his head in when Hubert Davis has a kid on campus, on and on and on and on and on. So it's not as though Coach K played no role in this at all. But to say it's only because of Coach K, I think that's unfair. Now, I think it's fair to say that we're not really going to get a reflection of what kind of recruiter Jon Scheyer is until Coach K is fully out of the building, until he is fully retired, and frankly, until Jon Scheyer coaches a full year of college basketball. And so ultimately, we're really not going to see Jon Scheyer, how well of a recruiter he is relative to a coach, until really, frankly, the 2023-2024 season, the 2023-2024 recruiting class, because that is going to be the first class that has seen him coach games in a Duke not a uniform, but as the Duke head coach. And so that's the first time that we're really going to see, is this guy an elite recruiter or is he riding Coach K's coattails? But I also think it's important to note, we can't not give him any credit at all here either, right? First of all, he has been the lead recruiter on many of the biggest commitments at Duke really over the last 3, 4, 5 years. Jeff Capel was the guy forever. Jeff Capel leaves for Pitt. But even when Jeff Capel was there, Jon Scheyer played a role. Jon Scheyer was the kid that got Jason Tatum to commit. Jon Scheyer was the guy that got a bunch of other kids to commit. And he kind of took over as the lead guy when Jeff Capel left. Well, as I said, Paolo Banchero, I think he's going to be the number 1 pick in next year's NBA draft. He was led, the recruitment was led by Jon Scheyer. There are other guys on this roster and on last year's roster and the year before. Lead recruiter, Jon Scheyer. And so to just say, well, it's all Coach K, that is a discredit. It is dishonest, and it is unfair to Jon Scheyer, who did a great job recruiting this guy. And this kid ultimately did commit to play for Jon Scheyer. I'd also add, by the way, he's not the first guy that committed to Jon Scheyer. As a matter of fact, this is what's been really impressive to me. Jon Scheyer has now received commitments from 3 5-stars, 3 top 10 players in the 24/7 composite rankings, with Dereck Lively being one of them. The first one is obviously Dereck Lively, 7'2" center monster. I think he's the best player along with Shaedon Sharpe in this class by a country mile. Also the number 5 player in the 24/7 composite, Dereck Whitehead, a little bit lower in the actual 24/7 rankings because, as I said, Chris Livingston is the number 5 player according to 24/7. But Dereck Whitehead, big power, 6'6" wing. He committed to Duke. And then also Kyle Filipowski, 6'11", stretch 4, kind of a similar skill set to Dereck Lively, can step out, can stretch, can pass, is skilled. All 3 of those guys committed to Jon Scheyer. And so part of this, yes, we do have to acknowledge Coach K is still in the building. He still casts a large shadow. He still has his fingerprints over everything. But it's not as though these kids are committing to play for Jon Scheyer, and it's not as though him getting these commitments means nothing either. Finally, I do want to wrap on another angle on this, which is the Kentucky angle of it, because a lot of Kentucky fans listen to this show, and a lot of Kentucky fans have asked me, Torres, is there anything we could have done different? How did he pick Duke? Why did he pick Duke? All that good stuff. And what I would simply say is this. A couple things. First of all, I do think the new coaching staff, Orlando Antigua, Chin Coleman, along with John Calipari and Jay Lucas, have reignited recruiting. But what I would also say is that sometimes you do just lose recruits in recruiting when a really good player has a lot of really good options, and this kid happened to pick Duke. Now, in terms of the timing of this, I'll tell you this. I thought it was a bad sign for Kentucky when Dereck Lively last week announced that he would be committing this week, because I think all of the buzz, all of the belief was that Dereck Lively was set to commit in the spring. He was going to be a late commit. He wasn't going to commit in the early signing period, and he was going to be the cherry on top of the sundae of whoever he committed to, whether it was Duke, whether it was Kentucky, whether it was to anybody else. That was all the reports coming out. That was all the buzz. That was what everybody was led to believe, especially from Kentucky circles. And so when he ultimately decided a few days ago that he was going to commit now, I actually kind of took it as it probably isn't a great sign for Kentucky. And then on top of that, you also, there was buzz over the weekend. He announces on Friday that he'll be making a commitment. And by Monday, it felt like most people really felt like, okay, if I thought he was going to Kentucky, I do believe now that he is going to Duke. On top of that, I've heard some different stuff. Kentucky is also recruiting another 5-star named Adem Bona, 6'10", a little bit of a different player, big, long, athletic, not quite as big, long, and athletic as Dereck Lively, not quite as skilled as Dereck Lively. And I've kind of heard that both camps weren't really excited about the idea of Dereck Lively and Adem Bona both being recruited, and kind of each didn't want to play with the other. It's worth mentioning, by the way, another sign that it wasn't a good thing that it wasn't a good thing for Kentucky that Dereck Lively was making his college decision on Monday was on Sunday, when it was reported by multiple people, including my buddy Dave Sisk from, I think it's Rivals.com, who basically said Kentucky is out visiting Adem Bona tonight on Sunday, hours before Dereck Lively committed. Doesn't feel like you'd you would get on a plane and go see another big man if that was ultimately your decision, or if Dereck Lively was ultimately picking Kentucky. It does not feel like you would get on a plane to go see Adem Bona. Doesn't mean it's a be-all, end-all. It just means that it probably doesn't make a ton of sense for you to fly cross-country to see another big man if another big man is committing to you the following day. So back to what I was saying a minute ago, I've heard differing reports that the two camps weren't excited about playing with each other, that Dereck Lively gave Kentucky an ultimatum. I don't know what's true and what's not true. What I would also say is it's pretty clear that Dereck Lively is the best big man in this class. If Kentucky isn't planning on bringing in both of them, I don't buy the narrative that they refuse to back down from recruiting Adem Bona. Maybe that's possible. It's certainly in the cards. I don't know that I fully believe it, though. That was some buzz that I heard on Monday as the commitment kind of got close. I just think, look, the two sides, they kind of don't – I think both players weren't really super excited to play with each other. I think Dereck Lively kind of knew I'm the center. I'm the focal point of Duke's recruiting class. And I'd also mention, if Dereck Lively was that unhappy with playing with Adem Bona, he just committed to Duke, where Kyle Filipowski, who's a 6'11" forward, is also committed to play. So not sure that I totally believe that. But at the end of the day, I don't think there is something that Kentucky could have done more. I just think that sometimes in recruiting, there's a lot of great options. There's a lot of great schools. And sometimes you choose a different school. And I think the thing that Kentucky can kind of hold their hat on, the saving grace in this recruitment, is, it's not as though there was something, nefarious isn't the right word, but they did what they could. When James Wiseman commits to Memphis, everybody knows he only committed to Memphis because Penny Hardaway's his coach. If it wasn't for Penny Hardaway taking that job, James Wiseman isn't going to Memphis. Cade Cunningham probably goes to Kentucky. They know they lose him to Oklahoma State. It's mostly because the older brother is an assistant coach at Oklahoma State. There's nothing you can do. This one, sometimes you just lose to another team. And so with Kentucky, I think now the focus turns to this kid, Adem Bona. 6'10", plays at prolific prep. I've been up there. I know the coaching staff there. He will be really well coached this year. He was really well coached last year. I think he's going to be a really good player in college. I don't think he has the upside of Dereck Lively. I'll be blunt. I don't think he is the potential number one pick in the draft like Dereck Lively is, but I think he could be a really good college basketball player in the SEC. And I also think in the transfer portal era, I don't think you have to worry all that much if you miss out on a kid that you don't want. And I think college coaching staffs are kind of realizing this more and more. They get their priority guys. You have those 4 or 5 guys. At Kentucky, it's a different caliber of player than, say, it is at Seton Hall or Providence or Purdue or whatever. And if you don't get the guys you want, guess what? There's going to be a million really good players in the transfer portal. And so the attention now, I believe, turns to Adem Bona. Kentucky also very much likely will get a commitment very soon from another 5-star guard named Cason Wallace. Kentucky does have to fill the backcourt, as they have 2 senior guards that will be done after this year in Davion Mintz and Kellen Grady. Also, Ty Washington very likely will be a one and done. But I bring this all up to say Kentucky is going to be fine. But at the end of the day, I just don't know that there was all that much that they could have done different. Dereck Lively is headed to Duke, and he is a really, really, really good basketball player. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor. Make sure to subscribe to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you're following on social media at Aaron Torres Pod. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Aaron_Torres.